Hello again. Welcome back to Myths, Legends, Stories, and Tales with Lady Liadan. Today we're going to be reading another of the Romani folk tales. The Romani are a people that came from somewhere in India. The story I'm going to read is kind of based in India. But the Romani have traveled. They're traveling people. They are what are called nomads. They take their homes with them. They travel everywhere. Have you ever seen a brightly painted wagon? Those are the kinds of homes they live in. And they're very pretty. But the story we're going to read today is out of India. It is a Romani folk tale, and it is called The Fish by Hedina Sijercic. The Fish. Behind the 7 forests and 7 lakes lived handsome King Manoush and his wife Papusha. The queen grew more and more ill because of a deep, soulful sorrow. She was not able to have a child. This saddened her so much that she stayed in bed for a full year. King Manoush felt very sorry for his queen. In secret, he would visit the lake so that nobody could see his weakness, and there he would cry bitterly. Poor King Manoush. Once when he came to the lake, he sat down on the shore, and his tears fell into the water. At that moment, a colorful fish appeared. This surprised King Manoush, especially when the fish started to speak. "Dear King Manoush," the fish said, "I know your sorrow, and I will help you. Take me with you, and I will tell your wife that she should make a meal of me, exactly in the way I am going to explain to you now." "First, she should take a knife and cut open my stomach," the fish continued. "Second, she should scrape off my scales to feed a mare from her feed bag. Third, she should give my intestines to your dog. Fourth, she should plant 2 of my big bones in the earth of your garden. Finally, she should eat me. Take me home and do as I have instructed, and this will help Queen Papusha and you, I promise." What a lovely fish! King Manoush took the fish and went home. He explained to Queen Papusha what had happened and what the fish had told him she should do. The queen followed the instructions perfectly. In a short while, the mare who had eaten the scales became pregnant. The dog who had eaten the intestines also became pregnant. The 2 bones planted in the garden's earth grew up into sabers. And finally, after eating the fish, Queen Papusha became pregnant too. The mare foaled 2 colts. The dog gave birth to 2 puppies, and Queen Papusha gave birth to 2 sons, Chiriclo and Mariclo, who aged 19 years in 19 days. Oh my goodness! Sometime later, the 2 brothers planned to take a trip around the world, but their father, the king, who had just died, and their mother, Queen Papusha, did not want to be left alone in her grief. So the brothers decided that only Chiriclo would go on the trip, and Mariko should stay with their mother. They went outside and saw the 2 sabers, the 2 dogs, and 2 horses, one for each son. Chiriclo told Mariko, "If I get in trouble, you will know by looking at your saber. If it is bloody, it means I need your help." Chiriclo and his horse took flight and began their journey around the world. They stopped when they were exhausted, and they found themselves in a big city. Chiriclo wanted a drink of water, but there was none to be found. When Chiriclo looked around, he saw an old wise woman sitting alone. He asked her if she needed any help. It had been a long time since anybody had asked her if she needed anything, so she was surprised at Chiriclo's kindness. She said to him, "In the Pasha's city there is a large well. In the well live 3 fierce dragons. One has 1 head, the second has 2 heads, and the third has 3 heads. Every year we have to sacrifice a girl to the dragons, and after that they give us enough water only for 40 days and no longer. This year it is Somnali's turn to be sacrificed, the Pasha's daughter. He lost his first daughter, Tierney, at the nearby mountain. If he loses his only remaining child, he will surely die. Early in the morning, Somnali will be sacrificed to the dragons." She then looked closely at the young man, saying, "I see a magic sign on your forehead. You could help us. Please go to the well. At the moment when the first dragon comes out to get the beautiful Somnali, take your saber and cut off his head. Then the 2-headed dragon will come out of the well, and after him the 3-headed dragon. Cut off their heads as fast as you can. Do not be startled or afraid. As soon as you have cut off the dragon's heads, it will start to rain, and the well will give us clear water. It will benefit all of us here, not just Somnali and her father." What do you think he's going to do? So Chiriclo went to the well. He believed that he could save the Pasha's city and his daughter. Everything happened next the way the old woman had described. There was a beautiful girl crying and about to be eaten by the dragons. Chiriclo told his dog to protect the girl and mounted his horse and awaited the dragons with his saber. When the dragons emerged from the well, Chiriclo beheaded the 1-headed dragon, then the 2-headed dragon, and finally the 3-headed dragon. Then, as it started to rain, clear water began to flow from the well. Chiriclo rescued the beautiful Somnali, and together with his horse and his dog he brought her before the Pasha. The Pasha was the happiest man in the world at that moment, and he promised Somnali's hand to Chiriclo, and they were soon married. Wonder what's going to happen next? That night, something strange woke Chiriclo from a dream. He went to the window and saw the whole mountain on fire. Somnali woke too, and she explained to him what had happened to her sister. Her sister, Tierney, had gone to the mountain to escape being sacrificed to the dragons, and had never returned. This was because of the 3 nymphs living on the mountain. Whoever journeyed to the mountain never returned. Chiriclo decided to go and see what he could do to help find Somnali's sister. He mounted his horse, took his dog, and attached his saber, and went to the mountain. When he arrived, he found 3 nymphs sitting beside a fire surrounded by many stones. They asked him to join them, but before he was allowed to, he ought to first give them 3 hairs from his head to tie his horse to a tree. He did this, and as soon as he had done it, the nymphs blew 3 times on the 3 hairs. In a flash, Chiriclo and his horse and his dog changed into 3 stones. Uh-oh. But far away in Chiriclo's home, Miriclo saw blood on his saber and realized that his brother was in some kind of trouble. He mounted his horse, called his dog, and attached his saber, and left his home to find and help his brother. He followed the same route Chiriclo had taken, and he too came to the Pasha's city, because he had also become thirsty. He met the same wise woman that Chiriclo had met during his journey. She knew the magic of the 2 brothers, 2 horses and 2 dogs, and 2 sabers, and she told him about his brother, how his brother had slain the dragons and married the Pasha's rescued daughter. Then she told him that his brother had been turned into a stone by 3 nymphs and pointed out the mountain. She told Miriclo that if he wanted to help his brother, he should not give away any of his belongings to the nymphs. Armed with this advice, Miriclo went to the mountain and found the nymphs sitting by the fire, surrounded by stones. They asked him for 3 hairs off his head to tie his horse to a tree, but he told them that he would use a chain instead. Then he sat with them and began to tell them such funny stories that they could not help laughing. When they were delirious from laughter, he pushed them into the fire. Oh my goodness! At that moment, the nymph's magic lost its power. The stones around them began to change into animals and human beings. Soon Miriclo recognized his brother. Chiriclo was coughing, his horse was neighing, and his dog was barking. But soon the brothers embraced each other in relief. Soon a beautiful girl walked toward them, and they recognized her as Tierney, the Pasha's first daughter. Miriclo and Tierney immediately fell in love. They all went back to the palace, and the Pasha and Sumnali were astonished to see Tierney alive and well. Seeing his daughter's affection for Miriclo, the Pasha gave permission for Miriclo to claim Tierney's hand, and they too were soon married. The Pasha eventually gave Chiriclo his city to rule, and Miriclo returned with Tierney to his own kingdom to live with his father. The end. What a great love the 2 brothers had for each other. And they also had good hearts. They listened to their elders, to the wisdom. How can you listen to your elders? What wisdom do you think they might have to impart to you? That's all the time we have for today. We'll see you next time.